Are you someone who collects pre and post session feedback or information from your participants? Well, you are in luck if you are looking for a solution that is easy and practical to use. Before, in the past, I would use Google Forms and I always found them a little bit awkward. But earlier this year, I learned about tally.so and I love it. Not only do I love how simple it is to build forms and that they look good, in my opinion, but they also easily integrate with other tools that you use. Now, in my case, you might be aware that I am a Notion lover. So today I'm going to focus on how you can bring forms and information in using Tally into your Notion. But if you don't use Notion, that is okay. It also works with things like Google Sheets and Zapier and other integrations. So it's not only for Notion. But if you are a Notion user, you're going to be very comfortable with using Tally because it uses a very, very similar form builder. So we're going to get into that today. If you are new and you don't know who I am, my name is Kat and I help people to create more professional and engaging online presentations. And one of the things that can make a presentation great is making sure that you are talking to your participants. So whether that is collecting information before you get together, which is the example I'm going to show you today, or after the presentation, you want to improve it. So you ask people for feedback. And personally, I know this tends to be one of the things that kind of gets left behind. You work so hard on putting together your presentation, you maybe forget to ask for feedback, or maybe you're afraid to ask for feedback. It's totally legitimate, but we should be getting into this practice. So whether that's before or after or a combination, that is what we are going to focus on today. Now, if you are someone who wants to make more professional and engaging presentations, I also want to let you know before we dive in that my Elevate Your Online Presentations training is open for registration, and I have a special little September bonus if you are watching this video in September of 2021. Okay, let's get into this. And what is Tally? We know what Notion is, or we should. What is Tally? So let's take a look at what a Tally form looks like. So this is actually the test form that I am going to be walking you through. I'm going to show you how to build this, but I wanted to build an example to show you what the end product is going to look like, sort of like a cooking show. This is what it will look like, but I cheated and I prepared in advance. So this is actually a custom form. I think it looks really clean, simple, and just professional. You know, anytime I see that Google form, no offense, Google Forms, but I kind of cringe. I think because it's been around for so long and now we're seeing more elegant and simplistic and clear forms. So this is what it looks like. You can see that I have a very straightforward one. I put this together for the purpose of this presentation. I will actually be using a very similar form for an upcoming live training that I have for people who register for Elevate Your Online Presentations this month. So if you are watching, whether you're live or the replay, I'd love to hear, how do you collect feedback, pre and post feedback, or maybe it's not for presentations, it's for something else, but I'd love to hear, is there anything you love? What do you use for collecting your information? So this is what the front end looks like when it's done. You can see this is the page builder. So at the top, you can see that you can add a logo. This is where you add the cover, which this is the cover that I added. You can see a preview, responses, share, integrate. So this is how you bring your information into Notion, Google Sheets, etc. And you can go to your settings. So what does it look like when you're building it? This is actually a blank form. And so it is very, very similar to Notion. If you have ever used Notion, you are using a form builder. You can start out, they have a bunch of templates. So if you don't want to start from scratch, you can absolutely go through. There are some categories you can explore. You can look through a registration form, a contact form, customer satisfaction. There are all sorts of examples that you can already use and integrate. That's a great way to sign up and start using it. I should also mention, there's a free version. I am currently using the free version. You can do a lot with the free version before you get into it. If there are more advanced things that you want to do, like a custom domain, take payment, etc., you can upgrade to a paid version. But just like Notion, you can do a lot with Tally with this free version. So let's actually start to build out a form. I'm going to make sure that there's nothing else that I am missing. No, okay, let's do this. So my form is a pre-training questionnaire. And this is specifically for people who are going to attend my live production training, which is a bonus for my course. Now let's add a cover. I want to make this look a little nicer. You can, I actually think this looks nice. You could add a little logo if you wanted to. It would show up here. And you can also just say, you know what, I don't want that. You can remove it. You can upload your own logo. For this case, I do want to add a cover. So you can just pick a color for your cover, but I'm going to, and you can go to Unsplash. So if you want to just pick one, you don't want to actually upload one, you can have a link to an image on the web, which is a great option. You can pick a color for the top, but I'm going to specifically upload a cover. So I have a cover here. I'm going to just drag and drop, and there you have it. So I have the name of my course already up there, and I did that very quickly. So if you just press enter, now your form is empty and you can start to create it. So you are going to, you have a couple of options. One is you can press plus to insert a block, but when you have a block here, just like Notion, I promise I won't keep saying that, you just press your slash and you will see all the different inputs. Now you can individually put in some of these blocks. However, you can also have question blocks. So down here, you'll see a question plus short answer, a question plus long answer. This is my preference. And the shortcut to get there, so if we click here, we slash and we just press Q, that's gonna bring up all of your combinations. So let's add name. So let's just say your name. There we go. First question is done. You can, when your placeholder is here, you can click enter to do a new block. You can also, I think, just kind of click down below. So I want to ask people's name. Now, one of the things that before we keep building this, what I would like to advise is think about your questions in advance and put them into, in my case, Notion. So if I actually show you, I have put together this questionnaire in Notion. I'm going to drag this over here. This is my Notion. I have a pre-training questionnaire. And what I did in advance is thought, what are the questions that I want to ask? So I want the name. I want to know which session they're attending. I want to know which lessons they are most interested in. I want to know their experience level, their comfort level, and are there any other questions? Now, I'm not going to ask them the date, but I want to know the date that they actually submitted this form. So I've also added that in here. You are going to want to think about the questions themselves. For example, the lessons is going to be a checkbox, so people can check off more than one lesson. So that's a multi-select. They can have a couple of different ones. And I purposely have this blank one here so you can see the different lessons that I'm going to add to the form. And you also want to make sure that what you have here actually matches what you have on the form. So that is something I ran up against the first time. I had different answers, like short forms for things, and because they didn't match, it didn't map properly. So you want to make sure that you are actually matching the type of field. So this is a number field. This is a multi-select field. This is a text field. You want to make sure those match. And I'll show you when we connect these two how that looks, and that Tally does help you figure out which type of field or property you need. But I recommend doing this in advance. So that's what we are going to follow. So I'll pull that out of the way. And so next on my list is the session. Now, in this particular case, I am offering two different sessions, one for Ecamm users and one for OBS users. I want to have people choose the one for the software they use, but I realized at first I wanted to have a multiple choice. So if I wanted a multiple choice, it would look like this. We'd have one option or the second option. Actually, sorry, I'm going to delete that. We're going to start again there, and we're going to start with the question and multiple choice. So I could say which session are you attending? And I could have option A and B. However, it's possible that there is a student who wants to learn both Ecamm and OBS. So in that case, when I'm designing a form, I actually want this to be a checkbox. So I'm going to just delete this block. So you hover over and you can delete, and I'm going to delete that and just start fresh. So /Q, and this is going to be a checkbox question where I say, which session are you attending? And the first one will be Ecamm Live, and that is September 30th. And the second choice is OBS, and that's on October 7th. And just to show you, I do actually have, if we pull back over this Notion and I show you these, I did write these the exact same way so that they do match up exactly. So I'm going to pull that back out of the way to show you this. So which session are you attending? We've got these 2 sessions. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually not going to add a choice. I'm just going to press enter a couple of times and then it disappears. I'm done with that question. So the next one was around lessons. So let's do /Q. And in this case, similar thing. I want to know all of the lessons that are most pressing for them. So I will say, which lessons are you most interested in learning? And this is where I want to make sure that they match again. So we have setting up scenes, enter. We've got adding animations. Don't you just love typing in front of people? Using a countdown timer. We've got adding music. I also want to make sure I spell them right. Connecting a second device and bringing in a guest. And finally, hotkeys and shortcuts. Double enter, and then I'm done. I have now created my checkbox. Nice and easy. The next one is experience level. So for this, I want to have a linear scale. So I'm going to say /Q. And at the bottom here, I can see linear scale. Now this is where I can customize it. So let's type the question. And I would say, what is your experience level with the streaming software? And I don't want to have a 10-point scale. I want to have a 5-point scale. So I just hover over this actual scale and I click on the menu. So now this opens a menu so you can start to customize your responses in the form. So here I'm going to start the scale at 1. I'm going to end the scale at 5. And you can change the scale steps. I also want to have a left label. So we'll call this brand new, and a right label where I say very experienced. Yeah, okay. So we have those 2 options. Actually, I don't like how that looks on 2 different lines. So I'm going to do this, experience. I'm going to change it. So here we have now a linear scale that people can select. And then I'm going to just, drag my cursor down and do the little /Q. So I pull up all the questions. We're going to do another one and say, what is your comfort level with learning new technology? I also see that Patrick is saying, wow, I love this, but you are also a Notion fan. So I want to ask people about their comfort level with technology, because that helps me as an instructor to know who's attending, how many people are a little bit more apprehensive or hesitant with new technology versus who is feeling really comfortable. And here I will say not comfortable. I might adjust this before I actually send this to people. And we'll say very comfortable. All right, so we have this set up here. And I see a comment here from Benjamin as well. So envious, I didn't know about this before. Yeah, well, it's free. You can just go start one. Like I just switched over. I was using other form builders before. And then when I found this, I decided to switch over. So a shout out to Notion Mastery, Marie and Georgia, who taught me about this. So now we have these. If we take a look, let's take a look again at the questionnaire. I want to know experience level, the comfort level. And then I also want to see, do they have any questions? And the way that I wrote it, if we take a look at this here, is I said, do you have any specific software questions? Let's actually try something. I'm going to see if I can just copy this and go to the forum. And if I type down here, so this is going to be a long answer. Let's see. Yeah, that worked. And the other thing I did put here is just a subheading. So this is just text. So if we go back to this form, after this block, if I just press enter, I can actually add a block in between the main question and the box. And I'm going to paste this. And I would like this to be in italics. So I'm just gonna, I do Command I, but you can also, you can play around with your italics. You can add images, etc. and links. Oh, that was an accident. Undo. Okay, so now I have, do you have any specific questions? So I have basically recreated this form, and now we are going to hit publish for this form because it's ready to go and I want to integrate it. So when I hit publish, you will now see I've got a link, but I'm going to click on integrations. Now, I guess before we go over, you can see you can embed a form into a page. You can use it as a full page. You can do a pop-up. I usually just, because I will be emailing this to people, I'll just send them directly to the form. However, I am thinking about using this to embed a form on my website. But let's go over to integrations because now I want to show you how I connect it with Notion. Now, one of the things I want to share before I go into this is just showing you how they connect. There are instructions. I don't want to get too much into giving permissions for API for Notion. There are lots of instructions, both from Notion, also Tally, shows you how to connect. Right now, my workspaces are connected, so we don't have to, I'm not going to worry about showing all of that right now, but you can definitely, there's lots of ways to learn how to integrate your workspace. So you give permission for Tally to access certain databases in Notion, or similarly, Google Sheets, Zapier, etc. So want to make sure that I cover that. So what I'm going to do with this form is connect it. And when it goes into the connection, it's already set up so that I have my account, and you can learn about the integration if you are new to this. What happens is I have shared Tally with specific pages in my website, so any sub pages will fall under that. So I have already shared, if I scroll down, I am going to find the pre-training questionnaire. That is the database that I want to connect. And now I want to map my properties. So all you do is select the field. Now remember, I put a field for date in my Notion. I want to know when they submitted it. And I can pick the date property. This is really handy. Hopefully you can see this, that the date property, it shows you all the properties it's going to give. So if you can't find date here, it means it's not in the right format, and you can go into your Notion and you can update it. So I'm going to say date, then add a property, and I want to grab their name, which is going to be a text property. There are only two in my form, so I'm grabbing name. I want to know which session are you attending. This is a multi-select property because they can pick more than one. So I'll pick session. Now I want to know what lessons are you most interested in. And this is the lessons area of my database. Add a property. I'm going to say, what is your experience level? And this is a number property. So comfort and experience are the two that I have as number properties. And then we have, what is your comfort level, and finally the questions. Do you have any questions? Text property, questions. So I have connected all of those, and now I say connect with Notion. So what you are going to see if we pull, so what I'm going to do is have, let's see if we can do this. I'm going to squeeze this down so you can see we can actually delete this. And now I am going to, let's just try and do work some window magic here. We're going to take this little link here and enter it. Okay, so here's the questionnaire. Let's do this differently. That's awkward. Let's do side by side. She says confidently. I want you to be able to see it. I know it's a little bit small. You don't need to see everything here. Okay, let's do this. All right, whoops. I didn't mean to do that. Let's go back. I pressed the wrong thing. Okay. There we go. Okay. Got a little peek at my project page. So we have the questionnaire here side by side. So you won't see everything. Let's maybe squeeze these a little bit so that you can see most of the information here in one little page. Okay, let's fill this out. I will try not to cover my face. And so it's Kat. I am attending. I'm going to attend both sessions because I will actually be attending a couple. Let's choose. I'm interested in animations and connecting a second device and hotkeys and shortcuts. Those are the main things I want to learn about. What's your experience level? Let's give myself a 4. And what's your comfort level with learning new technology? It's pretty high. And maybe I have a question, which is, connecting my Stream Deck. All right, it's not really phrased like a question, but you get the idea. So let's submit this. The form is completed, and now you see it populate in my Notion page. So I can open this up, and I can see Kat, which date it was filled out, comfort level. Now I can kind of clean these up because of Notion. I just created this morning, so I can put my lessons, drag up my sessions, kind of rearrange this the way that I want. So now it kind of maps that out, and all of that is ready. So that is how easy it is to set up a new form, connect it. Obviously, if it's your very first time connecting it, you want to take the time to make sure that you're giving permission for Tally. If you take a look here on my page and it says share, you'll see it's already has access to Tally because I gave permission to the parent page, which is the Elevate Your Online Presentations page. So everything below that will have access. So Tally is here, so I know that it's going to show up in Tally. So what do you think? I think this is pretty great. The other thing is that you can get creative with this. So maybe you want to use this for other things that has nothing to do with presentations. I am all for it. And this is something I'm going to actually be working on, setting up a few different forms to gather information. One of the ideas that I have is to ask viewers for the YouTube channel, what are some topics or ideas that you want to learn? I'm going to be setting up a Tally page to do that. And then it'll just pop up in my Notion. I'll see if there are some recommendations or viewer requests for certain content. So there are a lot of ways that you can get creative with this. The other thing that I love, and the reason that I'm a big fan of having this in Notion, is that I can set up a linked database, meaning on, say, my dashboard, I can have a little area where I have any new responses can pop up. So I would be able to see, has anything new come in today? I don't have to go search for it. I can actually put it right in front of me. And that is one of the benefits to this integration. And it's one of the ways that you can elevate the quality of your presentations because you are talking with your participants in advance, maybe by asking them some questions up front, but especially when it is done, getting that feedback. And maybe this will make you more excited to get feedback so the next presentation can be even more professional and engaging.